So everybody, it looks like a new iPhone SE4 is right around the corner, and from all the leaks and rumors we've been getting, it looks like it's going to be a very compelling package for the price especially. But I wanted to go over everything we've learned so far about what to expect, but then also talk about if you should get a new iPhone SE4 or maybe an older iPhone 15 and see exactly where your hard-earned money should go. Let's get into it. So the iPhone SE lineup has been around since 2016 with their original version coming out that looked a lot like the iPhone 5 and 5S. Now we did have a cheaper alternative, the iPhone 5C, but we kind of forget about that because, again, it kind of came and went within a year or two. But after the iPhone SE1, then we had the SE2 and 3, which released in 2020 and 2022 respectively, that copied that iPhone 6 to iPhone 8 form factor, and it still had that physical home button. But now we are expected to get an iPhone SE4 with a bunch of new updates both physically, internally, and of course with software integrations. So the first thing is going to be the big change to design. This should mimic the look and feel of an iPhone 14 and iPhone 15 as well. So it's going to have those rounded off edges, it's going to look more futuristic, it should have Face ID as opposed to Touch ID, so we'll have a notch, not quite dynamic island because I think Apple needs to differentiate between their kind of budget level one, their iPhone SE, and then every other iPhone thereafter, so we'll have Face ID, it'll just be in the notch form factor. And now while I'm still holding out hope that the iPhone SE will be smaller in size, comparable close to the iPhone 12 and 13 mini, which has that 5.3 inch diagonal display, it is looking like this will adopt the form factor of a normal sized iPhone, so we're looking at about a 6.1 inch display diagonally, which is the current size of the normal iPhone 16 and of course iPhone 15, 14, and 13. Leave a comment down below what you think about that. I still think they should make it a smaller form factor to save on cost, and also give people a reason to kind of go down to that size for a certain cost or price point. But again, let me know what you guys think from that form factor, or do you think it's a good idea that Apple's going with a 6.1 inch display? And while you're down in the comments, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, because that's the best way to support us. So alongside the new design language and getting kind of 2025ified in terms of the form factor of the new iPhone SE, we should be getting a bunch of new internals. Now I think gone are the days where Apple releases anything that does not have Apple Intelligence. So again, even though this is going to be the cheapest entry point to an iPhone, and we'll talk about price in a little bit, this still will be capable of running Apple Intelligence, meaning it's going to have an A18 chip, meaning we're going to have at least 8 gigs of RAM, which is kind of unheard of, especially if you compare it to the current level of iPhone SE that came out in 2022. So we are now going from the A15 and then doubling the RAM from 4 gigs to 8 gigs and going to that new A18 chip. And again, as I go down the list of all these different specs, you're going to see that this is going to be a very robust package, because that 6.1 inch display, yes, it'll be 60 Hz, but it's going to be an OLED panel compared to that 4.7 inch LCD panel that's on the current iPhone SE. So if you're just going on iPhone SE models, this is going to be a huge upgrade. And then also, we're going to go to 1200 nits of peak brightness for this display compared to the 625 nits of brightness, meaning we're almost going to double the display brightness overall. And now let's talk about the cameras, because the iPhone SE has been known to always have one camera no matter what the other iPhones are doing, so this is still going to remain true, although the new rear sensor is going to be 48 megapixels. It's going to take from what Apple's currently doing with their iPhone 16 lineup and be able to use that main sensor on the iPhone SE4, which is going to be 4x the amount of pixels that we had compared to the previous model that only had 12 megapixels. And then from the selfie camera standpoint, we're going to go from 7 to 12 megapixels as well in that new Face ID notch. And then of course, since Apple is now going USB-C all things and foregoing the lightning cable and the lightning port, USB-C will be added to the brand new iPhone SE4 because again, they kind of have to, but at the end of the day, I think consumers are winning because we will have just one port and one cable for all of our devices. And then also we will be getting MagSafe, which is something that the iPhone SE3 did not have, which again surprised me because it did come out during the MagSafe era. But again, Apple decided to forego that with the last one and will be bringing it over, which I think is going to be amazing. Now, it remains yet to be seen if it's going to be Qi 2 enabled. I do think it will be because that's now standard universal practice, but we'll definitely see exactly if we'll be getting the 15 watts of fast charging via MagSafe capabilities. And then from a battery standpoint, we should be going almost 1.5x the size at about 3200 milliamp hours compared to about 2000 milliamp hours that we had with the previous model, meaning that this should last longer. Now yes, the display is going to be bigger, it's going to be brighter, we're going to have 5G built into there at this point, so the battery could drain faster overall, but because we do have a larger battery now installed into this iPhone SE, we should be good to go from a battery consumption standpoint, and it should be one of the better and more efficient batteries overall. But now the million-dollar question is, what is Apple going to do from a storage standpoint? Because right now, the current iPhone SE starts at $429, but it does come with 64 gigs of onboard storage as the base storage. But we have seen that Apple's kind of gone away from the 64 gigs of base storage on all their iPhones, and now even all of their iPads, aside from the iPad 10th generation, that one still starts at, I believe, 64 gigs. So I could see Apple going with 128 gigs, with the caveat being that this is no longer going to be a $429 iPhone, it is now going to be $499. But if you start to add up the spec list and go side by side, $499 for everything that I've been mentioning, from the USB-C port, to the better display, to the new A18 chip, to Apple Intelligence, to the 48 megapixel camera, to again the brighter display and the ability to now have MagSafe and things like that. I think overall the package, even if we didn't upgrade the storage, would have been worth the $499, so I do think Apple's going to entice us even that much more by giving us 128 gigs of baseline storage at that $499 price point. And the final thing I do want to mention is that Apple should be using their very first in-house 5G modem for when it comes to connectivity and data. So Apple's always been known for using Qualcomm chips to be able to connect to cell towers and just have data coming to the iPhones, but it looks like Apple is going to be using the new iPhone SE4 as a guinea pig for their in-house modem, and we'll see exactly what that means for the end user. As of right now, the idea is for there to be no difference whatsoever, but we could see some efficiencies in battery life overall, because again, it'll be just one entire stack that Apple owns, and they'll be able to tweak it how they see fit from an efficiency standpoint, so maybe we'll see better battery life, and perhaps we might see some more aha magic moments throughout the Apple ecosystem. But for now, don't expect anything to change from a user experience standpoint. It's just knowing that Apple should be using their new in-house modem in their iPhone SE4 as opposed to getting it from Qualcomm. And then one final thing to note about the iPhone SE4 is that because of Apple Intelligence and everything that comes with that, and the synergies that Apple wants to portray, the new iPhone SE4 should have a camera control button. So we'll definitely see exactly if Apple is going to be putting that on there. But I do think for visual intelligence, it's a must for all iPhones going forward, no matter the price point. But now, for $499, that is an extremely compelling package, but that does beg the question, should you get something like this, or do you get something on the regular iPhone lineup side that maybe is a little bit older? Because right now the iPhone 15 at 128 gigs of storage is around $530 to $540 refurbished from Amazon, and again, you get that second ultra-wide camera. You do get the ability to have dynamic island in there, so it looks a little bit closer to the futuristic look of the current iPhone lineup. Kind of things you're gonna have to pick and choose overall. The battery's a little bit bigger as well. And of course, you still have everything else that I mentioned, but you don't have Apple Intelligence. So we'll see exactly how that ends up playing out overall when it comes to should you get a new iPhone SE4 or maybe a little bit of an older, kind of higher end iPhone 15 or even an iPhone 16 model for just a little bit more money. So let me know in the comment down below what you think. Is this iPhone SE4 going to be enough to compel a lot of people to jump on it? Do you think this is still going to be an afterthought overall? Because I really don't see a lot of iPhone SE3s. Now I know it's been about 3 years since we've had this iPhone SE3 out, but again, I haven't really seen too many out in the wild to begin with, so maybe we'll see now the average consumer when they walk into a carrier store like a Verizon or a T-Mobile, and they see the cheapest iPhone and they see that it looks relatively the same to the rest of the lineup. I could see this at $499 flying off the shelves and being Apple's bestseller overall. So let's see exactly what happens, and let me know what you think with a comment down below. Will you be picking one up? Are you an iPhone SE user? Now, will you be upgrading from an older SE, and maybe even upgrading from an iPhone 12 to an iPhone SE4? Because I think that is an upgrade, even though you are losing maybe one camera sensor. But that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so you know you made it to the end. But that'll do it, everybody. If you want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here. Subscribe to the channel. Until next time, peace.